Okay.
So we want to welcome our guest speaker and also member, Tina Alder. So Tina has been the district manager for Waimanalo Gulch Sanitary Landfill since March 2018. Prior to this, she worked as the environmental protection specialist for 3 Hawaii landfills prior to joining waste management. Tina worked for 6 years in Hawaii as an environmental consultant and 10 years for the state of Kansas as a project manager, tasked with developing management strategies for targeting hydrologic basins, and associated aquifer systems. Tina received her Bachelor of Science degree in geology from the University of Nebraska. Welcome, Tina.
Hey.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna stop sharing this. Hold on really quick. And I think you're able to share your screen because I know you have the slides.
Let's go.
And then I guess just put on the slideshow button.
Yeah, trying. There it goes.
Sweet.
All right. So, I'm going to give a quick presentation basically of waste management of Hawaii. So in this photo, this is a view from Colina to the landfill. Does anybody know where the landfill is in this picture? Yeah. So they have photoshopped the landfill out of their photos. So you know. So it is up on the hillside and the grass behind you there. We'll go to the next slide. So as far as waste management is concerned, we do operate in all across the US and Canada, and we serve over 21 million customers, both in municipal, commercial, and industrial. We also have over 50,000 employees now after a major acquisition during the pandemic. Another fact is also we spent over $5 million in alternative technology, and we've invested in over 100 companies that are dealing with alternative technology. And then 750,000 attendees are at the Waste Management Phoenix Open, which is a big golf tournament for those who don't know. And it's the most eco-friendly sporting event in the world. It is a zero waste event, and it's one of the largest ones. And that's what's kind of prompted me to get into the Eco Rotary, for those who did not know that, because I would like to do a sports sustainability program here in Hawaii so that we're not throwing away so much trash. Some facts about Waimanalo Gulch, the landfill. So this is a photo from the back of the landfill. The facility opened in 1989, and it's located on 200 acres. 115 of those acres are used for landfilling. 31.2 acres is permanently capped, and we accept approximately 250,000 tons of waste per year. On Oahu, approximately 1.6 million tons of waste is generated annually, and H-Power, which is the incinerator, processes 600,000 tons of waste, of which 130,000 of that comes to us as ash. So you can just see, as far as the amount of waste that is generated versus what goes there and what's incinerated and what comes to us, it's greatly reduced by being incinerated. The landfill liner system, we do have a double lined system, and its components are designed to prevent maximum protection of the groundwater and surrounding environments. In the photo, you can see some green areas here, and there's will be some other photos that is part of the liner. Primarily here in the back of the landfill is all the ash. So all of that, what you're seeing here in the back, is ash that has already been placed and disposed of. Here's an aerial view of the landfill, and towards the back up in here, I don't know if can you see my marker or not?
Yeah, we can see it.
You can see it? Okay, back up in here is where the ash monofill is. And in here is the where the MSW, where the trash goes. These areas all in here are previously plate trash and ash in here. These areas are all already closed. So we're only operating in the very back of the landfill currently. We do have a leachate collection and removal system. So we have 5 sumps that are located throughout the landfill, and all that leachate, which is liquids that have infiltrated or stormwater that's infiltrated through the trash and has gone to the bottom of the liner, is pumped up into 20,000 gallon frac tanks. We do pump out approximately 4 million gallons of leachate annually. And then it's hauled off to a water treatment plant and it gets treated and disposed of. This is one of the biggest reasons why you always want a landfill in a dry part, because we are dry, where we only been up until like recent storms, we'd only gotten 6 or 7 inches of rain the entire year. I have now gotten 11 inches of rain since we started to have these last 2 systems at the 1st of December and then this last weekend. And out of the first storm, in, was it 20 days of leachate, we've already got 160,000 gallons for treatment, and we still have so much more to pump out. So this is very costly, and this is why you want it in a dry area. And not where you get torrential rains all the time. We also have, as far as environmental controls, we also have a gas monitoring system. I'll go into a little bit more on that. It also helps with air quality, but we do dust mitigation, which is we water truck that travels around the landfill all day and keeps the dust down. We also have 9 groundwater monitoring wells that are all along the perimeter of the landfill and down gradient. And those are monitored twice a year to ensure that we have no leakage from the liner. We also have litter control and effective landscaping. So we do a lot of landscaping, especially up along the highway in areas. Most people don't even know that we're there because of it. One of the big things is because of all the rain and stuff, I threw in some stormwater infrastructure information that we will go through as well. So in here is a picture of what a gas well looks like. This is our gas extraction wells, and we've got 60 of them around the landfill that do capture the methane gas, and it flows to our flare. The flare burns at around 1600 degrees Fahrenheit and burns off almost all of the methane, as well as the condensate. So the condensate is the moisture as the gas comes up to the surface. It's really hot, our gas does. In some areas of the landfill, it has temperatures of around 180 degrees Fahrenheit. And so it does run pretty hot here. We think it's a chemical reaction. And but all that gets burned off. There's been a lot of questions as to why we don't try to do renewable energy projects. Here, the methane concentrations have kind of decreased since we don't take as much regular trash as what we used to. So we're not generating enough methane to make it cost effective to put a system in. So we also have 12 gas probes that are located along the perimeter, and they are sampled on a monthly basis to ensure that we don't have any gases escaping out of the liner system and out into our surrounding neighborhoods. The whole system does also act as an odor control. So if you ever do come out to landfill and we do a tour, hopefully you don't smell anything, and that means that it's working if you don't. So our stormwater infrastructure, this is the whole stormwater drainage system that we have at the site. Is quite massive, and no one else really has it. A lot of the reasons why we have such a big system is because we have 600 acres that are up canyon of us. And I don't know if people remember any of those around in 2010, 2011, we had back-to-back 100-year storms. And a lot of the system was still being constructed. We were months away from having it completed. And the water came down out of the canyon and overflowed part of the structure and into trash cells that were also being constructed. So that created a mess. Now everything's in place. We have these detention basins. We also have these little boom things, skimmers that we can lower down, and so they skim off the top of the water. So that reduces the sediment load that which we discharge from the landfill. So the water is pretty clean. So where else? And so one of the big things that we've had is the water that which is up canyon of us is diverted around the landfill and comes out, and it discharges on the other side of this basin. So when we release our water mixes with that offsite water. So we get blamed for a lot of the really dirty water when it's actually what's coming from up canyon. Here's some pictures of some of our structures that we have. This first photo is the up canyon weir area. So that is the water and stuff that comes from up canyon, and it flows down into this big giant drainage structure with a trash rack. This is the second photo. And then the third photo is what we call the flip bucket. That is the outlet for the up canyon water. And you can see between that and our water that this, you may not get to get a really good picture of this, but the water is really, it looks like chocolate milk. It's like not pretty. So what gets flowed out, and then our water mixes with that. Just for some success of what they have done for waste diversion efforts. So the amount of trash that used to come to the landfill and now just goes to the incinerator, we are down 85% since 2007. They have diverted off sludge, expired food waste, just some treated medical waste, is just to name some few. We still need the landfill for our auto shredder residue. So all of the recycling of the vehicles, all that residue that comes from that still comes to the landfill. There's issues with potentially burning that and thinking there might be some contaminants that would come off of that. So they're not, they haven't gone to trying to incinerate that yet. We still take the wastewater treatment, the grits and screens that they come off of. The sludges can go get burned, but the other stuff can't. And then we are open to the public to bring in rock, dirt, concrete, tiles. That's the things that can't get burned. And then of course the ash. So one of the big questions that has been of late is, do you close landfill before reaching capacity? There's been a lot of talk about that the city has promised over the years to close this landfill, and we still have around 20 years of capacity left. And the landfill commission, because we have a special use permit, says that we have to close in March 2028. So this means that the city needs to find an alternative location, and they're supposed to have that decided upon by December of 2022. Because of some legislation and that sort of thing that has been in place as well, it's limiting the amount of the areas in which they can put a landfill. And I'll go into a little bit more of that. But what we're looking at is that we have about 5 million cubic yards or 15 years of life, possibly 20. The less trash that comes to us, the longer our capacity grows. In 2028, there could still be 2.5 million cubic yards of unused airspace remaining. What that equates to about $200 million worth of airspace value left unused. So that's worth money there. This needs to be weighed against the cost for setting a new landfill, which is estimated at approximately $100 million. So all the infrastructure, all that stormwater infrastructure that I showed you, that alone was almost $30 million worth of infrastructure that has already been spent. And so something like that, again, would have to be built. Not to mention that once you close a landfill, you have to monitor. And so you have to pay for it to be closed, and you have to monitor it. And that 30 years of care, you have to do that for 30 years, is estimated at $70 million. One of the other things that we need to consider is PBT. It's a construction and demo landfill. There's been talk about that one closing. So where is all that waste going to go? And so if Waimanalo Gulch has to take it, then the chances that we're going to fill up a lot quicker. So they've been looking at citing a new landfill that can have the capacity to do what we need to do for the MSW side, but also the construction and demo side. They're also looking at what the military needs are as well, because they've been wanting to bring stuff as well. The challenges with the decision to not landfill, it limited options if there's no replacement site to find to manage the island's waste. They looked into barging the trash before. There has been legal challenges, which is why it wasn't done before. And there's a public image of trash pollution as you cross the ocean. Plus the disposal cost is nearly double or triple. And it will also impact the business relationship with Covanta, which is who runs the incinerator. Their permit states there must be a land for ash and residue on the island. Closing, the landfill will not resolve the concerns. It just trades it from one community to another. So just because we have it in this neighborhood, it'll eventually be in the other one, and no one wants it in their neighborhood. You need to have long-term relationships, or they actually have long-term relationships with us as far as the city is concerned, and that we, currently operating the landfill in an environmentally safe manner. And then we like to keep open to participating in the community to keep the local community regarding options for minimizing environmental concerns. So this is one of the things, Act 73. So Act 73, all of the areas in the hash marks and the orange are all the areas that which take away for a possible landfill. They have formed a landfill advisory committee of local experts that are reviewing all the different criteria as to where should the next landfill go. I put the website out here too, and I can share that with everybody offline as well. There is a landfill siting survey that is out there on their website. I encourage people to go out there. It tests your knowledge of trash. And your ideas as a community, what's your viewpoints on where the next landfill should be. They also, everything's public. You can participate in their meetings when they have them, and all of their past meetings and videos are all out on the website as well. So they come down to some additional criteria that they're looking at. Is conservation district. This is a whole nother layer that needs to go on top of the other layer that I just showed you for a map. And when you put those two together, you come down with this map, and the white areas are the 4 areas that remain for potential landfills with all the criteria that's in regulations as of right now. All 4 of those areas are over a drinking water supply, which I know from Red Hill has been a very big point of contention. Now nobody wants a landfill either there. So that might take everybody back to the drawing board to really look at the regulations, and that kind of stuff might have to get opened back up to kind of decide whether or not do we really want to put something over the groundwater supply, or do we want to go back to somewhere where the water is brackish, which would put us closer to a community. So that's kind of where everything's having to be weighed at this point in time on this island. That's what I have for today. Any questions? Well, thank you for you guys for listening, and hopefully someday you guys can come out and do a tour.
So what are the tours like? I mean, are we able to do them this year now, or has there been like more restrictive things on that?
No, we've been doing tours. We've just been doing smaller groups at this point in time. Most of the tours that I've been doing of late have been with a lot of the politicians, city council members, people on the committee, landfill advisory committee. They do want to try to get back to doing the tour of trash and that sort of thing. So I think just kind of, if you guys want to do stuff, we can try to make arrangements. If you just wanted to do the landfill, we can do that to tie into H-Power. I'd have to kind of see what their plans are over there. Because they usually do that, and they do like the green waste and the recycling. So it just kind of depends on what all you're wanting to see and do. And how many are interested.
I think if we can put something together with, you know, kind of like the tour de trash, I think that a lot of people would be interested in that.
Yeah,
if
definitely.
possible.
It's a good tour. Yeah.
Haley had a question in the chat.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. So let's see. She said, I'm trying to, do you have an estimate how much it costs an average person waste management?
So one of the benefits of that most people have on Oahu, especially if you're just a regular homeowner, is that your trash collection and that sort of thing does not cost you anything. Your businesses and condominiums, so your, you know, homeowner association fees, that sort of thing, they pay for trash disposal. So that's also been a point of contention as to why are they carrying pretty much the load of the cost of what it is? And if you own a regular house, it doesn't cost you anything. And so they've even tried to put out there, just the council, you know, has been discussed of even just $5 a month to being added on to, like, I don't know, some bill they have, and that comes to you, and people have like just like no. And I think I've heard a number. There's like an integrated solid waste management plan that's like a 10-year plan for the island. And I want to say they say it's like $50 a person a month or something like that for each member of a household, what it costs the city to actually manage all of the waste. So they're not making any money off of any trash disposal because nobody's really paying for it. And what's getting paid in doesn't cover the cost at all. So the city actually loses money. And most cities you go into, this is not the case at all. You're going to be paying for the trash disposal.
Wait, so did you say that apartment owners, the AOAOs and the associations, they actually pay a fee while regular homeowners don't?
Correct.
That's weird.
So like to have the bins, like the 3 bins that we get at a house, like that's just given to us and there's no actual fee for it. Correct. Unless you're paying for an additional one or something.
Right. And you don't pay for that trash to be picked up. The city contracts out, because you'll see different trash companies around picking up the trash. The city contracts out all of those people and pays for that. So as a taxpayer, you're paying for it in some way, shape, or form.
I have a gripe with that because I live in an apartment. In a condo. not only am I in a condo, but the thing that really frustrates me is we don't have the option to recycle and to compost. While, you know, a regular homeowner, like Christina said, they have the 3 bins. So why is it that apartment owners who pay don't have this seemingly basic and necessary option at this point? It always baffles my mind, and I always want to try to do some sort of, you know, recycling program, but it just seems really hard. And I tried to talk to my AOAO, but they're very against it. They always make up excuses like, oh, the roaches and rats and whatnot. But yeah, just hearing this now makes me more frustrated.
Yeah, there's a lot of associations that do. I know here at my building, they got recycling bins in several places around here. One of the things that I have heard from other associations is that they're paying for the stuff to be recycled. They're paying additional fees for that stuff to be picked up. But when it really came down to it, they were watching them pick everything up, and they were throwing all the recyclables into the regular trash truck and bins and just taking it to the incinerator. And the associations were paying all this extra money. So that's a lot of where some of them, I think, got away from the recycling because it really wasn't getting recycled. And they were paying the extra fees for it to be. Yeah, so that's something that needs to be kind of taken up as well.
So when we had Henry Gabriel come and talk about recycling, and he was saying how they have these special programs for associations to adopt. And then I was like, oh, and then they have a certain amount of money budgeted to that, you know, building that they, you know, can use. So I was like, oh my gosh, like, why don't I just go talk to the association, like the manager, right? So I went to my manager which is the third building in our like area where we all live. And I talked to him and he basically broke it down. Like he said they used to recycle cardboard. There used to be people that did these things and the price was reasonable. And now it actually, he said they have, I guess it costs a certain amount per bin that they get for trash that they're charged. And it's actually cheaper to just have another extra bin for trash than it is to have that recycle bin that they pay extra for. And that costs more. And then to hear also that it may not even end up getting recycled is even more frustrating, because it's like, well, why would you pay more to begin with? And then he said, so our building has things separated in our like, what do you call it? Like, you know, where the trash chute is, that separate room. And there's like a bin that's, you know, you can put recycling stuff in. And there's people in the building themselves, or like the custodians, who end up emptying it out themselves, and they go and recycle those items on their own. So we're still able to recycle it, but it ends up disappearing from somebody, which is great, because then it actually gets recycled and someone gets paid, you know, by taking it out. But when I talked to Henry Gabriel and I talked to our manager, that's about the limit that they have for a budget for an association. So if you don't actually have just those little bins that they could have on every floor, and you don't have something at least to that capacity at your building, that could be something that the city and county will pay for, at least to do that. And it's something that the AO will write up and say that this is what they want, with like, you know, I don't know, $2,500, and they'll provide that at least. So maybe that could be the minimal. That was all our building does now.
Yeah, most of the places that which the city can really have more of a handle on is with the businesses. So really a lot of the recycling and then the regulations that are in place are really with the businesses and not with the residential. And I just know with waste management, when they talk about, you hear about recycling and contamination, and I see it all the time in my building in the bins. As soon as I open up the glass bin or something, and it's like, and someone's throwing an entire trash bag of stuff in, and, you know, they say, don't, you know, it's just put the bottles or just the glass or just the plastic, and people are like taking the entire 6-pack and throwing it in, you know, and it's like, that takes money and time away from those who are paying for that recycling, and they're losing money because they have to try to remove all that contamination. And that's a lot of reason why China quit taking our recyclables, because there was too much of this extra contamination and it just couldn't get removed. So people need to learn that if you're going to do it, just throw away just the item, not all the other stuff that it came in, because there should be another bin for that, for the cardboard. And also here, they really only recycle the corrugated cardboard. So if it's not corrugated, don't throw it in the cardboard bin, because that's just considered contamination. It needs to go to the regular trash. So there's little stuff like that you have to kind of learn and know which glass and which plastic is actually recyclable here, and what, and just throw the rest of it away. Somebody has to sort through it if it gets otherwise. So I think that's education. I know here, I think they're trying to educate people better. I know the waste management on the mainland, that they put a lot of stickers on the bins and stuff like this, so to say this is what should be here and what shouldn't. And I have not seen regular residential if they do that here or not.
Tim's chiming in on Japan, which makes me laugh, because I don't think there's anybody more considerate about stuff like that. I can't picture everybody in Hawaii being that considerate.
I rinse mine out, but that's just because I don't want it all over the place if I drop it too. So as I'm heading there. But yeah, no, I mean, the recycling, there's so much more they could do here, but also we don't have the industry that can handle it all either. So it all has to get shipped out of here.
Well, if we find a solution or some extra help to this, we should definitely do some kind of promo for it, because it seems like everybody here says that their building does not recycle.
Yeah. Well, that's too bad because I thought there was more of them. But I've heard, yeah, just people. I think they're starting to catch on that it costs them too much money to do it. So, yeah. So you guys, I guess you need to market the trash companies to have them make it more affordable to recycle.
Yeah. All right.
Well,
Does
thank you,
anybody
everyone.
else have anything? Okay, maybe you can stop sharing your screen here. And let me jump back into this one. And we will do the 4-way test and wrap things up. Let me just